Deeper than the script, lost in the script. What's the difference?
Yeah, we ain't did one of these in wow, now about a month now, ain't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be this long, but
Listen, I understand why there's certain content creators and you be like, why it takes so long for y'all to put out. We understand why it takes so long.
yeah.
Things happen in life. You got to research stuff. So we understand why it take a while for content to be put out.
Yeah. So our last one we did was
The Golden Child.
The Golden Child. If you haven't seen that, I'll be sure to put it right here. It should pop up, and I'll probably put it in the description as well. This one's gonna be about a movie, a classic. Should I call it a classic?
It's a black classic.
It really did bad.
Which is all that matters.
It did really bad in the box office, though.
But it was a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it as a kid, especially. So
I like it as an adult.
I'm just saying. Anyway, the movie The Black Knight. I used to grow up calling it The Black Knight, but it's just Black Knight. The movie starring Martin Lawrence and
Martin Lawrence
as
was
Jamal Walker.
As Jamal Walker. Then you had Naughty.
Tommy, what's his name?
Tom Wilkinson.
What was the second character, the black biracial chick? What was her name?
Oh, her name was Marsha Thompson.
Marsha Thompson.
And then Jeanette Weaver, the one who you
Weaver.
believe.
Look, I'm just
Uyghur.
saying. Uyghur, yeah. But anyway, and we're going to go into this and how this movie, you can say this movie was more of a mocking of black people not knowing their history. This whole movie is them saying it in your face and mocking the fact that you don't know this stuff as basic history.
Yep. Because they've changed your history. They have made it their own. It's funny how they call it the medieval, the Dark Ages.
The Knights.
Specifically, the Black Knights.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into that in the story of the Black Knights. Let's go ahead and start right now. I'm going to show the first thing here. He went a little extreme. Used 2 different toothbrushes. He made sure he got every.
The tongue is the one that be stinking.
But the reason why they showed this, they actually said, why would you start a movie pointing out his hygiene?
Yeah.
And how he is almost a perfectionist when it comes to his hygiene.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing this on purpose, and we're going to show you that in a bit. All right, now here, if you watched any of our videos before, you already know where this is going. So they decided to put him in a green generic jersey with the number 23 on it. The green jersey, as we've shown this before, the Green Man, that goes back to ancient times. So when you start talking about the Green Man, you're talking about Osiris and all these other people. And Osiris, the reason why he's considered the Green Man is because he's considered the grain deity. A lot of these times when you see the Green Man, you'll see a face represented by vegetation. So it'll a face made of leaves and vines and stuff like that. So we already went into how Hollywood is into the esoteric stuff, and then 23, that's Horus and all this stuff. We're not even get into the esoteric stuff. I'm going to prove to you that the Green Man is the Black Man. And by the way, the fact they put him in a green, or randomly put him in a green jersey with number 23
on it.
You would think if you're going to put him in a sports jersey, you would put him in a authentic jersey. Why would they put him in a random green jersey that's assigned to no team? That's how you know that has nothing to do with sports. Why they did that. Now they made sure to slow down on the name of the street, Normandy and Florence.
Now that's interesting.
Now, Florence is in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Normandy, what we see as the Normans come from, that is in northern France.
Yep.
The Normans are Vikings that settled in northern France, and they ended up going and taking over a lot of what we consider today the UK. They've been England, Scotland, and Wales, and Ireland. So keep in mind, they made sure to point out that street he lived on, Normandy and Florence. So this is basically comparable to a rundown kingdom.
Pretty much.
He works at. It's a job. Yeah. What do they call these places? Like a park, a medieval park, basically.
It's an amusement park.
Yeah,
amusement
park, a medieval amusement park. But this symbolizes that it's a rundown kingdom, and it's going to be his job to restore it. Let's go for
it. You know, Tommy, I tell you what, you better stay clear of plastic today.
He's in blue.
There you go. So you're going to see, when we read this later, the colors blue, green, yellow, red. They all have meanings, but particularly blue and green. Those colors, are very important in old medieval times. Blue and green.
Yeah. Open up 2 miles from here. Hello, Castlewood. I've been providing quality jobs for this community for over 27 years. I got an idea. Why don't you cash out? Yeah, go to Miami, get you a Cadillac. One of them bald-headed pool boys.
So, as you can see here, there's a new amusement park coming. So her kingdom is under siege.
But she wants to stay and fight.
And he's willing to just leave, abandon ship, telling her to sell it. And as you're going to find out if you watch this movie, he's already planning on applying for a job at the new amusement park. So he has no desire to stay and fight with his kingdom, quote unquote. All right.
Damn it, Jamal. Can't you look outside yourself for 2 seconds and just buckle down? Help me. Why can't you help yourself? Forget about the community and provide quality jobs for people. Take what money you got and shop.
It's a lot what goes on in the black community.
Yeah.
And that goes on in the black community.
People get their chance to leave and they book it. So as you can see, he's considered a selfish, some people say cowardly person. And she's saying, I had high hopes in you.
Meaning?
As she sees his potential to be great. Almost like she's not really speaking to Martin right there. She's not really speaking to Jamal's character. She's speaking through the screen right there.
To the black man.
He has potential in your character. But unfortunately, a lot of brothers
don't want to lead.
Don't want to lead at all. But there's another point to this. She represents something more than just his boss here. She's going to represent somebody who, in the end, he's going to learn to exalt. But we'll talk about that later. All right, so this is the moment right here where this is when he's about to go on his adventure. And you'll
to
see
the medieval time.
Yeah, we'll show you this.
That's gonna be worth a lot of money.
Now, there's something that he's doing right now that Hollywood likes to put into all their movies. Something called catoptromancy, or what they call it, a scrying or mirror divining, where they look into the mirror or to a certain reflection of themselves, and they either summon a spirit or a deity, or they are transported to another dimension. You might remember that from a cartoon, you know, the old saying, mirror, mirror on the wall. Well, this is what he's doing here. Also, we're going to talk about that necklace or that medallion that he has there later on and what that represents as far as medieval times. Now, he's on his journey. He's been teleported. He's fallen down the rabbit hole, and he's on his journey to get enlightenment. That's one side of it. The other side of it is them exposing you who really was the people
in the medieval
times and even before that.
I see!
Now, remember how they started the movie? Showing Jamal's character being very clean and making sure he's squeaky clean to go to work. And they were implying he does this every morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he transfers into the wood. He's in the woods now. And the first person he see is the wild man or the woodland man.
We talked about that before too.
Yeah, we talked about the wild man before. We're going to talk about it a little bit more after this.
You disturb my peace. Oh, I get it. You got too much to drink, huh? Opening party for Castle World? Oh, you upset? I ain't got no beef with you, dog. Kindly address me with the proper respect.
You, immediately, he calls him dog. We're going to talk about that. Just give us time. He referred to him as dog for a reason.
I am no Tab Marlborough. And I am not a dog.
All right, so he's going to go on in this scene and find out how he smells bad, and he's not going to really know who this guy is. But let's talk about the wild man for a second. Okay, the wild man. You'll see this character, the wild man, they'll refer to him as mythology. The wild man, they'll tell you he's not real. This is some created creature to connect to some deity of the past. That is not true. You also see this character on some coat of arms of some of the old medieval families. You'll see a man who's very hairy, holding a shield or walking on all fours, and the way they show him, it's just a white hairy man walking around in the woods.
These are your people that came from out of the caves,
Exactly,
down into Europe.
Exactly. So when they tell this story of evolution, and they show a ape pretty much turning into a man,
that's them.
That's their history,
not our history.
And by the way, we speak on evolution. When you see the ape, they'll tell you on one hand that the original people were so-called black, but then they'll show an ape turning into a Caucasian. So they're telling you white people or Caucasians or all the other races come from black people, the original, but they'll show you an ape turning into a Caucasian. So who is the ape? Who is the ape in that, what they're showing right there?
Just guess.
So I'm going to read something here about the wild man of old medieval Europe. See here, the normal Middle English term, also used in present day as woodwolves or wold-woos, as spelled, you see that the spellings, occurs in Sir Gawain in The Green Knight. Now, the Green Knight is about a knight who has green skin and wears green clothes, who goes around and teaching people how to be knights. He's considered, on sometimes people consider him a good person. Other times he's seen as very harsh, and all these other things considered as a bad person. Now, I'm going to show you that the word green translates to black. So when you read that, it's really saying in the Black Knight. All right, so keep reading. The Middle English word is first tested in the 1340s in reference to the wild man popular at the time in the decorative art, as in the Latin description of the tapestry of the Great Wardrobe of Edward III. By as a surname is found as early as 1251 of the Robert de Wold-Woos in reference to the actual legendary or mythological creature. That's the false part. And when we go through this, he's going to show you a couple of times where they'll tell you the truth and lie at the same time when they say stuff.
Which is what they tend to do.
That's what they always do. The Old English form of woodwolves is unattested, but it would have been either Wuda-Wasi or Wuda-Wasi. The first element is usually explained as a Wudu wood forest. The second element is less clear. It has been identified as a hypothetical noun of wusa, being. So wood being, from the verb wasan or wosan, to be alive. It might alternatively mean a forlorn or abandoned person, cognate with German wasi and Dutch wies, which both mean orphan. Orphan can also mean outsider. So they were considered outsiders. Old High German had terms as scrat, scratto, or scarzo, which appear in glosses of Latin works as translations of faunae. Now, this is when they start tying it to old mythological Greek, Roman deities. This is the part this is where they start trying to do what they've been doing. When you think about the abominable snowman, Sasquatch, and all that stuff, that's really stories. That's really stories handed down about these people that came out of the caves, came across Europe, and pretty much caused havoc at some point. Let's move forward. Y'all,
Lord,
if you remember, there's a commercial out now for Airbnb where they show this hairy family coming into the house, and they're standing in the woods, a house in the woods, looking out. They don't speak. They're these hairy beings or creatures trying to live civilized.
These people had to be shaved down. You remember Minister Louis Farrakhan said that ain't how they look when they came out of the cage.
Had to clean them up.
Had to clean them up.
So, and they've done this throughout the years so many times. Remember, so easy a caveman could do it.
Or they love the term, a dog is a man's best friend.
A dog is a man's best friend. Well, who is the dog? What's the name of that movie from back in the day? Harry
and the Hendersons.
That whole movie is about comparing the people to the being to the dog. They all intertwined.
I had a hairy doll too when I was a kid.
You didn't know what you had in your possession. But if you remember those Geico commercials, what was the whole premise of those commercials? That these people, no matter how intelligent they became, no matter how much they grew in society, they were always descendants of cavemen and mocked. So no matter how far they move, they always look back and realize, I'm still just a caveman. They couldn't get away from who they really are. And a lot of people, especially black people, we really didn't catch that. I mean, black people was catching like, oh, that's what they is.
They mostly showed these commercials in the early 2000s.
Yeah. In
the late they really don't show them like, well, I wouldn't know. I don't have cable.
Yeah.
And the ads and commercials show on YouTube, they really don't show this, but they mainly used to show these in the early 2000s.
Yeah, especially when you go back to stuff like the 80s and 90s, they used to put all kind of stuff on TV. You'd be surprised they put it on TV. But that whole campaign is so easy a caveman could do it, letting everybody know they are constantly reminded. They know where they're actually from, where they started from. Exactly. All right. So this is him, Jamal, still not realizing where he is, and him about to come up to what he thinks is the castle of the opposing amusement park. And watch the response he gets at the gates.
Hold up! Hey, let me see your manager, okay? I damn near got trampled by some of them dumbass actors taking their job way too seriously. Who be you? Who be I?
Now,
habitual B.
Now you see that? You see how they spoke in the old English? How he said, who be ye? And said, who be I? Be the habitual B. Who uses the habitual B today?
Black Americans.
Be stomping your ass. You put your hand on me one more again.
Your ass. You put your hand on me one more again.
That seems like broken English nowadays, but that back then that wasn't broken English.
Okay, I'm from South Central, Florence and Normandy.
Nope.
Now, see, the reason why their ears perked up there is because that's a very important. They assumed that he's a messenger. Florence and Normandy, as I said, had a very, or Italy and France, shall I say, along with England and Wales and Finland and Germany and Russia. All these people knew each other. That's the biggest point you need to know right now. All these people knew each other. When I say knew each other, they were family.
And in the movie, his daughter was supposed to be getting married to somebody.
Exactly.
So there was a messenger coming from that area. But the surprising part is they weren't shocked that he was black.
Exactly. There was no reaction to him being a so-called black man saying he's from Florence and Normandy.
Which tells you
this is expected.
Yep.
Normandy? 1,000 pardons. We've been awaiting word from Normandy. Please, enter. We'll inform the king of your arrival. There's more like it.
The princess will look so beautiful. It'll be a wedding for the ages. Don't you agree? Yes. But she doesn't love him, so.
Okay, so this is going to be the love interest, obviously. And it made it this, in the movie, she's supposed to be a black woman. In real life, obviously, she's biracial. But they also made another one, what they call, I believe, chambermaids. Or I guess you can call them handmaidens, but they're chambermaids. They're concubines, basically.
Yeah, whenever they have guests or when the king, he sends for which one he wants.
Yeah. But they also, in this right here, they made one of the women Asian. Which is funny to me because they made the entire cast of the kingdom white. Except for, obviously, Jamal's the main character. And his love interest, and basically two of the bed wenches, basically. I'll say concubines. So two of the concubines and Jamal are the only people in the whole movie who aren't quote unquote white. So a messenger they think he's a messenger, and two concubines are the only people that aren't white in this movie.
Besides,
when he's not in the medieval time.
Yeah.
Well, what if a woman were not considered merely a man's property and were free to choose her own husband?
Oh, there goes that feminist talk in the
Well,
movie.
see, here's the thing. There were places in medieval Europe where there was a divide. Obviously, the kingdom was always passed down to the king's first son. And if that didn't work, it went to the next and the next. Or if he had kids, it went to his son. The only way a daughter could get the kingdom is if the father
There was
had
no male heir.
No male heir. And the idea of a woman being able to make her decision of who she married and stuff like that, that was only left up to the most powerful women. We'll talk about one later, Eleanor, one of the wealthiest, wisest women in Europe. She was from Italy, if I'm not mistaken, or France, I'm sorry, southern France. She ended up marrying King John. I'm sorry, not King John. I'm sorry, that was his mother. She ended up marrying King Henry II after King Louis the VIII, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. So she ended up marrying, she married King Louis the VIII, I believe. She ended up marrying King Henry of England. They had a son, King John. But she was considered one of the wisest women. So she was able to decide, who she can marry and who she couldn't. Although that freedom led to her demise later. So, yeah.
You can read and write.
Yeah. Who you been dating? You gotta raise the bar.
Reading and writing was only given to the people that were considered nobility. So, but that was also a way to keep power.
Exactly, because if the more knowledge you have, the more
decisions that people want to make.
Exactly.
So if they assume you know more than I do, people will let you make the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And these were niggas.
So we got to keep it dumbed down like America does.
How are you feeling today? Wait. And she'll tell me.
Yes.
Very nice.
That's open.
You especially, my Nubian queen.
Now this line is very strange. We refer to her as his Nubian queen.
Let you know she black.
Yeah. And obviously he's supposed to be the antagonist, and he's up on the woman that he's with. So this is just to build the movie forward.
Hey, what the hell is wrong with you, man? Don't you know that's sexual harassment? You the idiot that damn near ran me over, aren't you? Wait till I find your boss. He gonna fire your metallic ass.
You would do well to mind your tongue more.
Ooh.
So they refer to him as Moore. Now keep in mind, he told them he was from Florence and Normandy, which is France and Italy. So obviously it makes sense why they refer to him as Moore. But I'm going to show you later that the Moors were not just in Spain and all those places.
Small! Do you mock me? The king awaits thee, messenger.
All right, so this is King Leo and his daughter Regina. I think that's how I say her name.
Mm-hmm. Regina the hoe.
And we're gonna find that she's a character. But when you read up on history, there's a lot of those characters in history. We'll get into that. But here's his entrance, the Moor.
Silence, Moore. Tell me, when will the Duke arrive?
The Duke will arrive
On Tuesday. Tuesday? Ah, that is excellent news.
Okay, so the thing about marriage, like I said, all these people, they knew each other. They didn't just know each other. They were cousins. There's a lot of instances of people marrying their cousins back then. As a matter of fact, King Henry's son, King John, he was considered a guy who had a lot of sexual immoralities about himself. He ended up having an illegitimate child with his first cousin. Yeah, King John, the son of King Henry,
Still goes on in some families.
Oh Lord, niggas is but yeah, it was normal considered. You have people marrying their you might have a king, should I say, would have his son marry a cousin's daughter so that they can unite their kingdoms. That was a form of a treaty.
But if you go back into the Bible,
that was happening.
Yeah, it was happening.
But it wasn't first cousins.
They were cousins though.
Yeah.
I do believe Jacob was related to Rachel.
Well, yeah, most of them were related
They were related.
because they knew, and especially in back then and in Europe, they knew who they were, so they made sure they,
Her father was his uncle, I believe.
yeah, you know, they kept it in the family a little bit. But we're gonna go further into that, more words soon.
Have the servants ply this messenger with much food and drink, and let him lay with any damsel he desires. Except my daughter, of course.
She clearly won't it, but that look. Do I even need to say it? When you say more and white women, people already know what happened. Like you know, it is what it is. The more them dudes in Europe was getting down. Now keep in mind, we brought up the wild man, so that would mean these Negroes had to shave them down, clean them up.
When they already had something that was, they need to have all that, but you know, that's what they choose to do.
They shaved them down, cleaned them up, and they used them as concubines. They were the concubines, and you know what? That goes within history. When we look back at slavery here in the transatlantic slave trade, where black women, some of them were treated as concubines or what do you call them, mammies and such. The same thing happened to them.
They didn't have the white women for their breast milk.
Well, I haven't seen that, but they were definitely using them to raise their kids. They were nannies and stuff, and they always were concubines, and some of them would have children. And those children were seen as, you know how in America we have something called the one drop rule, and if you had one drop of black in you back then, you were considered black to keep their race pure. Same thing happened in Europe. If you had one trace of white blood or look in you, you were casted off as not of the people. So they was having kids with these women, and the kids were considered, you know, bastards, illegitimate. They couldn't really get anywhere socially in society until, unfortunately for them, later on, they began to let them be incorporated into society. And at some point, obviously, seeing as what we are now, it led to their downfall. Okay. You see that right there behind them, that flag? Those lions? That's a part of the coat of arms that's been around since forever over there in Europe. I'm going to show some examples of that proves these people know each other and who they are. You see here, this is the royal arms of the United Kingdom. You have the lion with you have the golden lion, should I say, with the English flag over it. You have the unicorn with the horn with the Scottish flag over it. And if you look down here in the middle where the harp is, that stands for Ireland. Now, if you look deeper into this, you'll notice that the lion in particular is used all throughout Europe. Anywhere you go, the lion is there. So you have to ask yourself a question. A continent and an island, which is what the United Kingdom is, that has no lions, why do they have the lion in all of their emblems?
Because there was a Pacific tribe.
There were people who knew they weren't of that land, that they just came there. They knew they were from somewhere else that had lions. Now, in particular, that stance you see is right here in this royal arms of United Kingdom. There are more examples that you'll see of this lion in different poses. They have different versions of this lion. And the colors means different things, different lineages. They know exactly who they come from, whether it's from the French, from the German, from the Italian, a lot of the people out of Finland, all those places. They know where they come from, so you'll see different colors and variations based off of that. Another way you know these people they know each other is every time these people, there were a couple attempts that these kings and rulers, where they tried to retake Jerusalem. In particular, I talked about King John earlier and King Henry. King Henry's son and King John's brother, Richard the First, he actually tried to take Jerusalem back in the Third Crusade. Now, once again, why would these people in Europe have lions as their emblem, be trying to take Jerusalem back into their kingdom in Europe? The lion, we know, represents the Lion of Judah or the Lion of Israel. This right here is even proven in this statement here. You see here it says the lion is a common charge in heraldry. It traditionally symbolizes courage, nobility, royalty, strength, stateliness, and valor. because historically the lion has been regarded as the king of beasts. The lion also carries Judeo-Christian symbolism. The Lion of Judah stands for the coat of arms. Stands in the coat of arms of Jerusalem. Similar-looking lions can be found elsewhere, such as the coat of arms of the Swedish royal house, and here in the term derived into the coat of arms of Finland, formerly belonging to Sweden. So they even made the point to say this lion was really in Jerusalem, but it's expanded in countries throughout Europe,
which means the people came from that area and
expanded throughout Europe. All right, now I want to get into the word more, because they referenced the character Jamal as more. And this is what I was talking about earlier when I said they'll tell you the truth and lie in the same damn quote. I'm going to use this right here. Listen to this. More, noun. North African Berber, one of the race dwelling in Barbary, late 14th century, from Old French Moor, from medieval Latin Moris, from Latin Moris, and inhabitants of Mauritania, Roman Northwest Africa, a region now corresponding with northern Algeria and Morocco, the Greek Moris, perhaps a native name, or else cognate with Morios, black. The adjective directly only appears in late Greek and may as well be from people named as the reverse. Now listen to this. Also applied to the Arab conquerors of Spain. Now they make sure to call them Arab.
Being to throw you off.
Yeah. No, the first they call them North African Berbers. Those are not black people. They know this. Just like when they say Arab conquerors of Spain, being a dark people in relation to Europeans. Okay. So they said compared to Europeans, they were dark people. And what Europeans are you comparing them to? Now listen to this next line. Their name in the Middle Ages was a synonym for Negro. So hold on. You know that North African Berbers are not Negroes. They've never been called Negroes. You know that no Arabs are not called Negroes. So if the word more is a synonym for Negro, that means Negroes are Moors.
But they always got to do stuff to throw you off.
Now, the only way this would make sense if they're saying that North African Berbers are Negro. That's the only way this would make sense.
Or they were Negro at the time.
Exactly. But they're trying to say they weren't. So if the word more, which applied to the Arab people in Spain, who were considered dark people, if the synonym for them was Negro, then that means the Moors were Negro.
Yeah.
Full stop. So this is them lying and then telling the truth in the lie, and then lying after. Huh?
This is them pissing on your back and
telling you it's raining. Yeah. Being the nearest Muslim to Western Europe, it was used indiscriminately of Muslims, Persians, Arabs, etc., but especially those in India. Cognate with Dutch Moor, German Moor, Danish Moor, Spanish Moro, Italian Moro, related Moris. Now, every last one of these countries have the same name, Moor. But you're telling me that this was only for the Arabs, not the Africans, quote unquote. Because even when we talk about the Africans, there's a difference. They would use different names. Lying when they're trying to tell the truth. I'm telling you, it's insane. Look at another one. Look at Negro. Negro, 1550s, members of a black-skinned race of Africa. Now, hold on. They just told me that Moor was Arabs and North African Berbers, and that they was synonymous with Negro. But when I look up Negro, it says black-skinned race of Africans. Let's continue. From Spanish or Portuguese, Negro, black. From Latin, nigrum, normative nigger, black, dark, sable, dusky.
Well, we told y'all dusty.
Yeah, we call them dusty
when we call them black, red dusties.
Yeah, you call them black. You call them
black. Look at that black.
When you call somebody a dusty Negro.
Look at that dusty Negro. Look at that blackity black.
No, black nigga. That's what you call him. Applied to the night sky, a storm, the complexion. It's the complexion.
Look how they paint it as just negative.
Yeah.
A storm.
Figuratively, gloomy, unlucky, bad, wicked. According to Van, a word of unknown etymology. Oh, we just don't know where this word come from. Okay. According to Watkins, perhaps from pi, night, the Latin word also was applied to the black peoples of Africa, but the usual terms were, so Antiops, that's what they consider the Egyptian. I mean, sorry, not the Egyptians.
Ethiopians.
If you see here, the term Antiops were archaic words for a dark-skinned person, often from Ethiopia. You got to remember the word Ethiopian or Ethiopia constantly got conflated with Negro sometimes. Even here in America, they would call certain black people Ethiopians because of their skin tone. Because Ethiopians even back then, had a different skin tone than what they would call the rest of Africa. Let's read on. As an adjective for 1590s, used in a capital N because generally early 20th century, e.g. 1930 and New York Times style book in reference to U.S. citizens of African descent. That's why you're supposed to capitalize the N, people. But because of its perceived association with white imposed attitudes and roles of word was ousted in late 1960s in a sense by black. So Negro got replaced with black. Professor Booker T. Washington being politely interrogated as to whether Negroes ought to be called Negroes or members of colored race, has applied that it has long been his own practice to write and speak of members of his race as Negroes, and when using the term Negro as a race designation to employ the capital N, Harper's Weekly, All right, meaning African American vernacular, the English language as spoken by U.S. blacks is from 1704. French Negre is a 16th century borrowing from Spanish Negro. Old English words were more
And
blackamoor. Middle English word for Ethiopian. Perhaps also a Negro generally was blue man, and that that blue man is gonna blow your mind later. Now, you see here, it just says that Negro is a Moor, is a blackamoor, and can be Ethiopian. So Ethiopian isn't always Ethiopian. If you read something that says Ethiopia, it's not always an Ethiopian person. You see here, black, Old English black, absolutely dark, absorbing all light, the colors of soot or coal. From Proto-Germanic blacks, burned, also source of Old Norse black, dark, Old High German bla, black, Swedish black, including Dutch blacken or to burn, bleg, to burn, gleam, shine, flash. Now, I'm not even going to say it right now. I'm going to wait. For root, ble, to shine, flash, burn. The root produced Old English black, bright, shining, glittering, pale. Now, hold on. So the word black can mean shining, reflective, glittering.
Negroes.
So there's a
shine
word,
and are reflective.
There's somebody, I forgot the word they use for it. Basically, when you look at certain black people, sometimes our skin reflect light. A person can be what we consider dark skin, but when they stand in the sun, they'll have these spots in their body that's like a lighter brown. As they turn, it'll turn with them. It's hard to explain.
Or your skin shines.
Yeah, your skin
Have
is
you ever
shining.
looked at your skin and you think it's ashy and it's shining?
Yeah,
but it's not actually. It's like a shine to it for some reason.
It basically, how they describe it is light shines forth your skin through your skin.
Yeah.
Your skin don't absorb the light. It takes it and pushes it back out through your body. Like you'll see certain black people or African people that they'll have the sun on them or light on them and they'll just absorb it. Their skin tone don't change.
It's dull.
It's like a raven. Their skin tones don't change. Then there are other black people who, when the sun hit them, their skin tone changes.
Like even most Black Americans, they skin tone changes with the season.
Yeah.
In the wintertime, your skin lighten up, and in the summertime, because of the sun, it tends to get darker.
Yeah. Let me keep going. The usual Old English word for black was swart or swart. According to OED and me, it is often doubtful whether blake means black, dark, or pale, colorless, wan, livid, used as dark-skinned people in Old English. Off coffee with nothing added. Attested by 1796, black drop was liquid preparation for opium. Used medically. Black fly was used by various insects, especially an annoying pest in the Northern American woods. Black Prince, as a nickname of the eldest son of Edward III, to attest by 1560s, the exact significance is uncertain. Oh, I already know about Edward III. I know why they called him the Black Prince. They try to say it's because he dressed in black
attire,
armor and stuff.
Armor?
Yeah, they say his armor was black. That's why. No, they called him that because they used to do that when somebody was considered very dark skinned. Let's be honest. Back then, they would make sure you knew who they were in their names. Like we already brought this up before. The name swarthy and tawny. A swarthy person is somebody we consider dark skinned. It's somebody like Tyrese. We always bring up the actor Wesley Snipes, obviously. But it's a couple of people. Somebody that considered tawny would be somebody like Michael Early, who's a female. Beyonce we consider tawny.
But you got to go down into the other ones too.
What do you mean?
Tawny is from Kobe Bryant complexion on up, right?
Kobe would be considered tawny. You got Beyonce, Michael Early. You would
anything
have
that's
brown to lighter brown. Swarthy we consider darker browns up.
Yeah.
So that's how that went. So when they called him the Black Prince, that could mean he was tawny or swarthy. You have to look at the actual way they explained it. If they said swart, they called him a swart. That means he was swarthy. That means he was dark brown. If they called him tawny, that means he was lighter brown. And we're going to get to the word ruddy as well later on. All right. So now this scene here is right after he just saw someone beheaded. It was a funny scene, his reaction to it. But now we're about to see the necklace or the medallion that he's wearing. And according to them, this medallion stands for rebellion. But we're going to show that in those days, there were also a certain order of knights as it would go.
I gotta go!
But Lee, you cannot. There's work to be done. You wear the medallion.
Well, lots of brothers wear medallions.
Now,
Lots of brothers wear medallions.
especially when you talk about the jewelry. You know, there's a picture of a lot of these people back in what we call medieval times, and they're wearing earrings and necklaces and diamond rings and stuff. And you go, who is known for wearing all these jewelries?
To this day, they still rock the one earring.
Back then, they wore gold teeth. They dyed their hair, did all type of stuff to their hair. Who is doing that? Now, I'm not saying that niggas are the only ones that dye their hair and stuff. I'm making the point. Who ain't doing this? Shakespeare. Every picture you see of Shakespeare, they show you he a chubby white dude, but he got an earring in his left ear. Who wears the earring in only their left ear?
I got a cousin, man. They wear a manhole cover if you get a big enough chain. You gotta put some bling bling on it, though. You know?
I wanted to show you that I too wear the medallion.
Oh, yeah. You know what? That was my thinking. That was my thing. Cause see, it looks just like mine right here. See?
Of course. I'm here to help you kill the king and return the kingdom to our deposed queen.
Say what?
Now, this is the medallion that she was talking about. But if you look here, this right here, it resembles the medallion that you see that they wore back in something called the Teutonic Knights. You had the Cross of Teutonic Order, the coat of arms of Teutonic Order Grand Masters, you had the alternate coat of arms, and you had the coat of arms of the Teutonic Order. So I wonder if they were trying to slide that in when they did this movie. Were they comparing it to the Order of the Knights from that time period?
I believe so. I mean, sometimes they try to hide things. They don't try to make it look exactly like what it is, but they try to throw little stuff in there to throw you off.
Yeah, definitely. You see this picture here? This is a picture that they shown. It's something called the view of the square of the King's Fountain in Lisbon. Now, if you look at this picture here, it says a Dutch painting. It's a close-up of a man who appears to be the King of Portugal. But if you see that cross there, either he's a nobleman, as far as a government official, or he is a knight. That's the only people who would wear that. So one of you see here says the King Cross of the Order of the Santiago, which was founded in 12th century and owes its name to the national patron of Garcia in Spain, Santiago, the St. James of Greater, under whose banner the Christians began in the 9th century to combat and drive back the Moors and Muslims from the Iberian Peninsula. Now, if you look at this right here, this is a painting of what we consider a busy square.
And it's a whole bunch of black people.
And it's a whole bunch of different races.
Yeah.
Or at least it's not just one race. It's when you look back at Europe, a certain segment like to pretend that it was literally all quote unquote dark skinned people or black people were in Africa throughout the Middle East. All Caucasians or pale skinned people were in Europe, in Russia, and all Asians were only in Asia. That's not true. They were moving around. They were trading with each other. People was living in different places. It was the same thing as it is now here in America. It was a global world even back then. They try to make it seem like the world was so much more separate at that time, at least. The only difference back then was that there was a different set of people in power. And obviously the certain rules were different. But as far as the populations, it was the same. It was a mixed society. Maybe not as mixed, but it was a mixed society even back then. All right, well, here's a scene of a party, a celebration they had in the movie. And I'm going to use this to compare it to another, I guess you call it celebration that happened in real life. And I'll get to that when we get to it. I'm not eating that damn food.
Then that's just gross for the damn turkey. Then he farts, or he passes gas, and then he has the dog clean his hands by licking his hands, and then goes for the peas.
Niggas wasn't that nasty back. Like, come on, man. Like,
That's them describing how they are.
But they like to paint the idea that in the Middle Ages, this is how nasty it was. There was no such thing as hygiene. People weren't washing their ass. And it's like,
yeah, they were.
They were still washing their ass.
They weren't washing.
I'm interested in learning more about your culture. It is my understanding that the Normans are excellent dancers.
Yeah.
Who's known for dancing?
The excellent dancers.
Caucasian people are not known for dancers. You saw the opening scene where they taking their hands and clapping in the air and floating on the damn floor. Still do that to this day.
I don't know more about my culture. Remove the dog from the table.
Who's the dog? When you look at that, man, when they would, we talked about the wild man and how they were considered shaggy. They were called dogs. They called them dogs. So when he said remove the dog from the table, that could be more than just the dog under the table. He could be talking about the dogs that he considered sitting at the table.
No offense, King, but that thing about dancing, that was a very stereotypical thing you said.
So you cannot dance.
Can I dance? Come on, man. That's how I get out.
Please pleasure us with your skills.
So now
and heathens were called dogs too.
Exactly. So now, and we know that these families in the Middle Ages, they at some point figured who they were. Most of the people in charge, even though they were, a lot of them was wicked, let's be honest, they at least lived in the guise of being, understanding they were the people of the book and calling themselves following the rules of that book, but they were clearly not, which is why the, I guess you would call it the middle class, felt like banding together with the other races, or at least the other race, to go against the nobility during that time, because they felt like you guys are wicked.
They were mixing paganism.
Exactly. You guys are wicked and you're corrupt, so we may as well overthrow you so that we can actually live by just means rather than just lineage. See, they understood, there was a certain segment during the time that understood we have a right to lead through a certain line of people that goes back long before us. We have a God-given right to lead through lineage, but the people underneath them figured you guys are so corrupt and wicked, we would rather lead through other ways rather than God-deserved leading. All right, so this is him getting the band to play his song correctly, because if he don't get his song right, he's going to be put to death. So let's see what he comes up with.
I think he's just a messenger knows not his place in society. Perhaps he should learn it.
Your tongue in your mouth, swimming around like an eel.
Yeah, it's called a French kiss.
From Normandy?
Fleurs and all.
Show me more of this.
Oh, whoa.
Now, that is what they consider the French kissing. Not only French kissing, but other forms of sexual acts were given credit to the French, who were Negroes at that point. So I'm just saying, French, the French, at least back then, was known for getting it popping, I guess, more so than the other countries.
They was into some extra Yeah.
Which is funny because that stereotype of, at least as far as country stereotypes, French are known for sex. They're known for so that tagline kind of started all the way back then,
In the medieval.
and it's still there to this day.
They still got that stamp on them.
Yeah. Now, before I move on, I want to talk about another party that happened back in 1393 when the nobility and the king decided to mock what we brought up earlier, which was the wild man. Now, if you see here, it said in the first week of 1393, the French court decided to celebrate the upcoming third marriage of one of the queen's ladies in waiting with a party at the royal residence, Hotel St. Paul. The entertainment was a chivalry, a ruckus performance by 6 senior knights of the court dressed as wild men of the woods. Now, a chivalry basically was a mock celebration because a woman who was, whether she was a widow being remarried, they didn't give her an actual wedding ceremony. They gave her a mock celebration. They basically was just chaos. They used to dress up like wild men and wave their arms around and dance kind of erratically, like somebody who can't dance, has no rhythm.
Like how they were doing in the beginning.
Exactly. They would mock their dancing ability, their rhythm, their coordination. They would dress up with shaggy clothes. With this costume they was wearing was made of linen with resin and flax, so that the costume so that it would appear shaggy and hairy from head to foot. Like I said earlier, you see those commercials they put out about these hairy people and how they always make these people almost sympathetic. Like you have to feel sorry for them that they're born this way. But you see here it says such events were encouraged as a means of distracting the unstable Charles IV. Now they said Charles IV the year prior had a mental breakdown, an insanity attack as they called it back then. I guess we probably would call it something like depression now, but back then they called it insanity, where they said he actually went into a rage and attacked people. And
well, that's manic.
Yeah, that's a better way to say, not depression. I'm sorry, manic, basically. So that's the reason why they threw this for him, a celebration.
It's like manic is a form of bipolar. You know, one moment you're okay.
Yeah, you
could be depressed too.
Yeah, so
or you can be manic.
Yeah, it said Charles IV of France, known to posterity as Charles the Mad,